Hey, my name's Chris from the number one support workers advice line. Thanks for joining us again. This is the next throng of videos which I'm going to put out. I've got a few subjects that I want to put forward. Please feel free to give me some feedback. Looking forward to some interaction, and yep, naysaying is great. Likes, dislikes, doesn't matter. Just get on to me. Today I want to talk about questioning the diagnosis. I had a friend who went to see a counsellor. He's my age. He went and saw a counsellor, and he was real excited to get there. Currently in Middle Australia, we're lacking access to counsellors, psychologists, psychiatry. It's pretty difficult to get into. To get your bottom on a seat in front of a counsellor in a face-to-face. My friend was very excited to be there. He was pumped to be able to finally get some stuff off his chest. He had seen that counsellor before, maybe one or two times, just making it up. But it had been a few months. And stuff, in his life had happened, and he's a very open person looking for answers. He does tough work, and he just wanted to sit in front of somebody and vent, really. So within the first 5 minutes of this session with the counsellor said, "I think you got ADHD." This man is my age, so he's not a spring chicken. And the counsellor was very willingly gave a diagnosis of, you may have ADHD. I find this as a lazy counselling session. I find that just as easy as this, my friend imparting to me, this is what the counsellor said to me yesterday, straight away I go to lazy counselling. The guy it was a male counsellor, a male client. The guy sat there and basically just given the presenting client's the client's presentation, which is really quite high energy all the time. He's always happening, always ticking over. Something's always happening for the client. In really positive ways. He's a doer. He's also a sayer. And to get a diagnosis of ADHD is dangerous in my mind. If he had been less insightful, being the client, if the client had been less insightful, he may have just gone, "Oh yeah, you're right." And then he may have gone to his GP the next day or that week, and he might have said, "Oh, look, my counsellor said I've got ADHD." And then the peril is that we fall into a lazy GP session. GPs are really under pressure. They are the front line of everything at the moment. They're 10-minute consults. They're doing 20 a day or whatever. It's Medicare, pumping them through. They've got to get paid, but they are the first port of call and sometimes the last port of call when it comes to the fix. Anyway, that's GPs. What I'm getting at is, if he had gone to the GP with the lazy counselling diagnosis, counsellor, may have got into counselling later on in his life. It might have been his second career choice, did a diploma, got his supervised hours down, and now he's a registered counsellor working in some sort of setting. I'm not sure what it was. Anyway, so he goes to the GP, and he could have said, "Oh, the counsellor gave me an ADHD diagnosis." GP goes in the 10-minute consult, says, "Oh well, for that we prescribe drugs. We prescribed ADHD medication, which will help you level out and help you think straight." So then, if my client hadn't been so insightful or questioning or curious about his own about the diagnosis, he could have embarked on, "Oh, okay, well, I'll trial that ADHD medication and off we go." Then off he goes into ADHD medication land, and very likely would have struggled, would have struggled with having been on prescription medication. It would level him out, lose his energy. I don't know, no judgment on ADHD medication, and I'm sure it's justified in some areas, but in this particular case, it was just totally not on. What the counsellor failed to ask is, how was your day as you were getting here this morning or today? What have you done for yourself? My client, the friend of mine who was the client of the counsellor, said, "Oh, and I had a triple shot of coffee before I walked in the room." That would have, to me, if I was counselling somebody, I would have said, "How's your day? How's it been getting here?" Doing some grounding sort of questioning, getting the person into a good frame of mind, and exploring what brought the person to counselling on that day. Not only the precursors to seeking assistance, which you get into after one or two counselling sessions, but what actually led up to you walking in the door today. And he would have got the idea that the guy loves his coffee and just hammered himself before he walked in the door. Hence his presentation. So the idea is, there are counsellors out there who just lack skills. There's social workers out there who lack skills. Psychologists lack skills. They're burnt out. They're in the middle of their own personal crises. They may have had a really busy client week the week before even, and they haven't processed that and still haven't landed. And I'd say that's down to lack of skills. So this is an example of questioning the diagnosis. Don't just get a second opinion. Walk away. Don't jump on it too much. Don't take it on as part of, some of us need labels to go forth and let everybody know that we've got things going on. And to get a diagnosis of ADHD, to me, at mid-40s is a very, although it happens, but it's quite dangerous. Get a second opinion. Sack the counsellor, maybe, and go and get a second opinion. Also, what I would have done in those circumstances, if it was me, is I would have written a pointed, gentle, lack of emotion letter to that counsellor saying, "Oh, look, I'm going to go get a second opinion. I think that day you might have been a bit lazy for me." They still get paid, that's all right, but you've got to give that insight after the fact. There are avenues to communicate with. They might have already shared how to communicate with them by email, or if they're part of a clinic, you can email the info at the clinic. Just alert people that it was a bit off. It was a bit off. So part of my training is being curious about the diagnosis. So how does that work? Well, we've got to go and get second opinions, people more professional than me, people more qualified or registered than me. I'd like to go and see them as well. It may take a little bit of time, but jumping straight into ADHD, massive diagnosis, it's just medical intervention the whole way, and it could have been very detrimental to this person telling me this story. So, he had the intention of sharing the story with me because he wanted to decompress. He wanted a second opinion. I'm not saying I'm expert, but what I'd say to him is just go and see somebody else as soon as you can. He knows he doesn't have ADHD. He's been living with himself for many, many years. He knows that he had a triple shot of coffee before he went in, and he too just got the idea that the counsellor was being lazy. Right, so, but juxtaposed to that, on the other hand to that, is we are living in an era where psychiatrists are really more evolved than they were even 5 years ago. So backing people off medications, being more aware of the social settings they may live in, being more curious about the social settings, which might affect people's behaviour. So I am heartened by in my experience of psychiatry, medications, psychology, in that I do see they're getting a lot more evolved in a social systems framework, whereby they understand that crappy relationships contribute to crappy behaviour. I'd like to hear more on that if you've got any ideas. Very much here to hear your insights. ADHD, for the person imparting the story to me, he's one of the most high functioning people I know. He's a real doer and successful in what he does, and he has a real creative nature to him. If he had been down, if depression had taken hold and he was looking for answers, then he may have gone straight down that road of medication. I've got to temper my appearance, my presentations. I'm too over the top. I'm going to give this ADHD medication a way to go. It would have killed his creative drive. It would have killed the way he thinks. It would have killed the way that he gets things done. It would have killed his success, his creative juice. ADHD medication is used by families to calm children. Children have presentations of chaos. They tantrum in certain social settings, in certain family units. ADHD medication helps. They get a diagnosis from the kid's not concentrating at school, so let's take him to the GP, get him diagnosed with ADHD, and then let's get him on some leveling medication. Let's get the guy thinking in a more linear fashion. More curiosity needs to be had for kids, and certainly I imparted an adult, a mid-40s story. More inquiry needs to be had on what is driving, what's at home. Is there a devil on the inside, an angel on the out in their lives? The forms of control, are they tantruming because they want to eat junk food, and then their little bodies are dealing with the crap food and lack of nutrition that they're experiencing. Another avenue could be that they're on their devices till really late at night. They're scattered. They're just devices can be used by parents or caregivers as they must be okay. They're quiet in the next room, but really it is hammering their little brains and making them a lot more scatty. It's depriving them of sleep. So looking forward to some feedback here. Thanks for having me along again, and please stay tuned for more. Okay, so this is Chris for the Support Workers Advice Line, and thanks very much.